Hello and welcome to Agrestal Vestige here on YouTube, where we are vested in all things Agrestal. Yes, we are. My name is Tom, and I'm here with you again this week with yet another blended Scotch whiskey review. This week we have Gold Label. No, I know what you're thinking, not Johnny Walker Gold Label, because if you type in Gold Label whiskey on the internet, that's all you're going to get. This is very unusual and difficult to find. How did I find it? Well, I happened to be at a shop just perusing through and had not been to that shop in quite a long time. I looked down, and there on the shelf was this bottle along with about 4 others just like it, covered, thickly covered in dust. Nobody had got the little duster around this bottle in quite a long time. That looked like 2 to 3 years worth of dust accumulated on the bottom shelf of this shop. And I picked it up. It doesn't say a lot on the label. It does say it's bottled at 40%. Okay, it's a blended Scotch whiskey. And it's blended, bottled in Scotland. Okay, it's going to be if it's Scotch. But I got to researching the company. This is Lombard's blended Scotch whiskey. Lombard's Gold Label is called. Now, Lombard's is a blender, and of all places, the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man you don't associate with Scotch whiskey much, or anything really at much, except motorcycle racing, the TT and all that. However, they have a history that dates back about 300 years. And ever since the 60s, I think there's a woman, Margaret Lombard Chitnall, I think it is, who's still the CEO today. They bottle this. There's obviously a blend of various Scotch whiskies. I couldn't come across the actual ones that were there in the blend. However, they blend this whiskey. The purpose of blending this whiskey is to recreate the pre-war era of whiskey, that flavor profile of the old traditional whiskeys, sometimes slightly rough whiskeys, but that's their purpose in blending this. I have never, ever seen it in any shop, and I go in an enormous amounts of shops. I've never seen it before. It happened to be in this shop, like I said, with 4 other bottles covered in dust. So I bought it. So looking it up, you're not going to find that much information on it, oddly enough, even online. But it sells for somewhere around $40 pounds euros. I actually paid $30 for this because it had been there so long, and I went, hey, you know, look at the dust, give me a discount, basically. So in saying all that, it probably does have a little caramelly 150 color added. Probably. It's not distinctly orange, but maybe. Not a lot, though. As far as the oiliness of it, it doesn't appear, just by looking at the legs on the glass, exceptionally oily. But that's it for appearance. Let's get into smell and taste. So what is this unique and hard to find and rare, should I say, whiskey? What does it offer? On the nose. It is slightly peaty, actually. There's a muskiness to it that's real nice. The malt comes through. Slightly peaty. Probably Highland peat. Like a citrusy lime. Fresh cut grass. It's distinctively fruity, actually. Like apples, pears, peaches, that sort. It's interesting enough on the nose. What about the palate? Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Looking at it, it didn't look real oily, but it does have a very big and chewy mouthfeel. Wow. There's a load of caramel sweetness in here. Caramel sweetness and fudge, like chocolate fudge. There's some citrus fruit notes. There's some very rich honey notes in here. A bit of licorice. Black licorice. That's quite interesting, really. As far as the finish, medium finish. It's not abrupt. It doesn't last a long time either, but it's a nice medium to long finish, I would say. And you get slight notes of on the finish, like grapefruit and black pepper. Interesting. It's unique. The balance of it, let's add a little water and see. Bottle at 40%, so 2 milliliters of water. I mean, I wouldn't call it well balanced, because the nose and the palate seem unrelated. The nose, palate, and finish actually all seem unrelated. However, each one in themselves are not bad. They all provide something extra. So after adding the water, what are we getting here? Roly around the glass. The legs, or tears as they call them, are there. They do form. It's not beating, so it's not, highly grain rich with with real young spirits. There is nice tearing, nice legs on here, but they do drop quickly. Wow, that does, the addition of water, even though this is 40%, it does open up that smoke. Yeah, that's not bad. A lot more of that sweet honey and licorice coming out now. And those grassy notes I mentioned earlier. Okay, on the palate. A lot more of that golden raisin, sultana notes coming out. very peachy now. Very peachy, like fresh stewed peaches, or fresh peaches that's been stewed, or even fresh peaches. Actually, it's got a very peachy type flavor. Lemon meringue, right? Interesting. The fudge is still there. The caramel is still there. The citrus fruits are definitely still there. It's more like this, yeah, citrus fruits, not so much zesty, but the fruits. The honey's still there. It doesn't take anything away adding the water. It does add a couple of things though. And on the finish, there's a nuttiness that's there that wasn't there before adding the water. It's hard to pinpoint what it is, but it's like an almondy, English walnut type nuttiness to it. There's a slight bit of bitterness. I don't think, because bitterness typically comes from heavily used casks. I don't think this is what that is. I think it's just part of the overall profile. It's not a strong bitterness. It's not that particular bitterness you get from bad casks. It's almost like a pleasant bitterness. So then on the finish, it's very creamy vanilla. Yeah, it's quite lovely, creamy vanilla with some like grapefruit mixed in and pineapple. Yeah, still somewhat of a medium finish. Okay, what would I rate this out of 100? Well, like I said, it's not really a balanced whiskey. I do think there's a B150 in here. Probably been chill filtered as well, because the oils just don't. There's not that many oils in there. The tears drop real rapid. That's one thing you'll notice on heavily chill filtered or just chill filtered whiskey in general. It's not oily because it strips out all the oils, which is most of the flavor. As far as achieving their goal of a pre-war blend profile, I haven't had many pre-war blend profiles. I've had a lot of older blends. I think they've achieved the notion of getting there. I don't think they've achieved it though. There's a lot of distinctive flavors that you need if you want to achieve that profile that they're not getting here. Like an industrial aspect to it, a coal tar and chimney soot and that sort of thing. None of that's present in here that you would need to recreate the older blends. Anyway, I think it's a competent enough blended Scotch whiskey. Lombard's Gold Label from a blender in the Isle of Man. What would I give it out of 100? I don't want to be too awful with it because it's not bad. None of the flavor profiles are bad like in a lot of blends. None of it is actually bad. It's just you're not expecting it. None of them blend together. You're expecting one thing, you get something else. Anyway, in saying all that, I'd probably feel comfortable giving it an 85 out of 100. Simply because it doesn't taste that bad. It's distinctly unique. You don't get these type profiles in a lot of different whiskeys. It doesn't have a lot of the stereotypical profiles in abundance like the vanilla and caramel, even though it's got some of that in here. Yeah, 85 out of 100, and I think that's is the top score I would give it. If you find it, try it. It's not that expensive, as I've told you earlier. And if you do try it, or oddly enough, if you have tried it, just leave a little comment down below. I'd like to see what your take is on it, what you thought about it. That's about it, really. Until next time, for Agrestol Vestige, this is Tom Hubbard. Bye-bye.